So thanks everyone. I hope you enjoyed your break. We will get started with our noon session. And today we have CJ Drymon. She is the Manager of Prospect Research and Management at the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. She will be presenting on how they've been using AI, really a case study, which is great. CJ has more than 35 years of experience in advancement services, fundraising, prospect research and management, and giving, and donor relations. She also has experience in providing strategic leadership and long range and short-term planning in the areas of gift processing, database integrity, reporting, data analysis, system enhancements, and budgeting for healthcare and education and arts. So wealth of information, wealth of experience, and we really appreciate it. You can, CJ has said that throughout the presentation, if you want to ask questions, she's happy to field them. So if you have questions, please put them in the chat and I'll help field those for her. And take it away, CJ.
All right, wonderful. So I'm just going to hide this floating meeting channel. So y'all, thank you so much for asking me to present at your Apra Maryland chapter virtual conference. I'm honored to be the caboose to your 2 days. So I hope you all were able to go grab lunch and feel free to just, as I said, and make yourselves at home. I'm very informal. The presentations I enjoy most are those where we actively learn together. So please use the chat feature, as Frank said, to ask any questions throughout. There will be time at the end for Q&A, or, hopefully we'll just have some time to just share any wins that we've had in the, area of prospect identification. And if you're using any AI, work towards that. That'll be great. Learn from each other. So the presentation you'll see today is one that my team prepared to share with our individual gift officer team to instill confidence in our DonorSearch AI product, which we launched earlier this year, and how with its implementation, we changed our prospect identification process for the better. So a little bit about me. Let's see here. Okay. As Frank alluded to, I have 30 plus years in fundraising. As I suppose is the case with most of us, I accidentally fell into nonprofit work, as I'm sure many on this WebEx did as well. We don't wake up in the morning and say, oh, I'm going to go be a fundraiser. I combined actually my aptitude for business with my love of music and went into arts administration following college. For 6 years, I worked for symphonies, and it was while working at the Charlotte Symphony Orchestra that I got into fundraising when the development assistant moved to Colorado. We were at the time actually moving from a manual ticketing and development process to computerizing it. And that was the start of my love of fundraising. Let's see, my span, as I said, 30 plus years. I've done annual giving, advancement services, currently doing prospect research management and analytics. And though I no longer work in the field of the arts, I do continue to play cello for a local community orchestra. So still have that passion with the arts world. And I just want to thank you all for joining this session. So food for thought. As we mentioned, let's see, let me just do that. So what has worked in the past doesn't necessarily work today. So thinking back, don't know how long each of you all have been in been in fundraising or in your current positions, but how much does it still look the same as it did 3, 5, 10, 15 years ago? Even thinking just for us, just last year. The way in which we operate is changing at a rapid pace. I have seen technology radically change since I started my career in the early 80s. I began when programming code was done in DBase 3. Windows was new. You could only have one window open at a time. You wanted to go from Excel to Word, you had to close Excel, launch Word, go back, close Word, go back into Excel. So I hate to say I have a lot of earned experience, aka a lot of years in the work world. But fast forward to where we are today, AI has started to become a fixture in professions, from sales to accounting, and yes, even fundraising and prospect research. So for us, we started the conversation with DonorSearch 2 years ago. So I actually was at an Apra conference, gosh, probably 2017, 2018, and was lucky enough to hear Nathan Chappelle speak. He was with City of Hope at the time, and he was talking about how they were using AI to do their prospect identification work. And it was one of those things that kind of I put back in the recesses of my mind, and just knew that this was where we were going, that this was the future. And so things continued to progress. AI became more of a staple. Donor search added, Nathan and Scott Rosenkrantz went to work with Donor Search to develop their AI product, kind of had followed Nathan throughout, and reached out to, actually ran into them again at another Apra conference, and we started that conversation about 2 years ago. I was very lucky in that I had a new president of our foundation, and who also was very much looking into bringing us current into tools that would help us do our job. We were and still are in a capital campaign of a $1.1 billion to build the Arthur M. Blank Hospital, which opened, if you were online early, you've heard this, we opened the doors on September 29th of this year. Our capital campaign will end December 31st of this year. And AI has been a big part in helping us, identify some of those remaining gifts that maybe we didn't even know about. So we're having those conversations as we try to wrap this up successfully. So this presentation, as I mentioned earlier, was one that we presented to our gift officers. So one thing that changed for us when we actually went live, so we started the conversation 2 years ago. We went live with it in September of last year. And then we actually, you have to kind of figure everything out, and there are little bumps along the way. And so we had to get those resolved. So we actually went live with it with the actual assignment of prospects that were identified through the DonorSearch AI product in January of this year. So thinking back to last year and previously, one of the things that our particularly lower level gift officers were responsible for doing was what they called discovery work. And so we had built them a dashboard that fed to them on a daily basis donors from the previous month forward, and it was broken up between those four gift officers by last name. Any non-event donors or donors of $500 to a non-event fund that fed into their dashboard. And what they did with that discovery work was basically, for the most part, one touches. It was really a stewardship action. It was not really a prospecting or qualification work. It was just, in my vocabulary, it was really just a stewardship touch. They would shoot them out emails, and you'll see those stats in a little bit later in the deck. So what we did was, when we went live with DonorSearch, we did away with that discovery work. We actually got a new person added to the staff of the foundation who is responsible for our stewardship work, and we're basically kind of redirecting that over to her to come up with a strategy for reaching out to them. So the foundation, just give you a little bit of history about children's, or kind of an understanding of the size and complexity of Children's Foundation. Children's Healthcare of Atlanta has approximately 75 to 80 staff. We have about 25 fundraisers, of which 16 are what I consider the individual gift officers. The others make up corporate as well as foundation relations. My team supports all 80 members, all teams within the foundation. That includes the events team, our Children's Miracle Network team, as well as the fundraisers. But most of our energy and time is obviously building portfolios, trying to identify prospects that will go primarily to the individual gift officer teams. So that discovery work, like I said, was kind of recast and was reassigned over to our stewardship manager and our gift officers. Then the plan was that we would be sending them or providing them with better quality prospects through our DonorSearch Ai work, and you'll see that. So as we do with every presentation we do with our gift officers, we have a glossary just to kind of remind them what everything is. So you can see here, we kind of cover what the conversion rate is. So again, we're looking at prospects that are promoted to primary portfolios from their qualification portfolios. Discovery dashboard, as I mentioned earlier, those were the donors of $500 or more to non-event funds for the last month forward. And again, most of that work was done through outreach by email, and it was just a one-touch, one and done. It did not count towards their qualification work. So it basically is kind of busy work, to be honest, though it has a benefit of doing, at least being a stewardship touch. The relationship manager portfolio are those that are actually in the major gift officer's primary portfolio. Qualification portfolio we call QRM. So the qualification work we did in 2023 prior to going live with DonorSearch, we are a Razor's Edge. So we're a Blackbaud currently. We're actually locally hosted, not in the cloud. We're with Blackbaud. Many of you all will cringe when I tell you that we are still on the classic version 7.96. The exciting news for Children's is that we are actually in the process. We started last week, Sprint 1 of our conversion to Salesforce Ascend. So we are hoping to go live in Q2 of 2026 with our new product. But for now, we continue to work in the Blackbaud Razor's Edge platform. We have Research Point, which integrates with Razor's Edge. We also subscribe to their modeling and target analytics work, as well as we purchased several years ago their Affluence Insights modeling. And so we were using all of those tools to model our monthly donors and screen them, our event donors, our patient families, which were a subset of all of our patient families. And then this year, with the launch of with DonorSearch AI, we've done away. We don't use any of our Blackbaud products anymore. We are strictly focusing all of our energies and time to using DonorSearch AI to screen and model prospects for identification and assignment to our gift officers. Any questions about the glossary? All right. So what do we know? As I mentioned, the discovery work, a lot of busy work. In 2023, Those 4 gift officers who were responsible for that did 1,087 touches. And of those 1,087, 24, which is 2%, moved into their qualification portfolios upon their request. So they got some kind of response back from them. Of the 24, 6 were promoted to a primary portfolio, of which 3 still live in the primary portfolio. So 3, in my opinion, probably were promoted a little too soon. They really should have stayed in the qualification arena a little bit longer, been qualified a little more, and then, would not have made it to their primary. So 3, but 3 still live in their portfolio. So that's 0.3% of the 1,087 touches that were done. The 3 of 24 is the 13% conversion rate. Of the 3 that currently live in a portfolio, 1 has made a gift this year. Yeah, 2, maybe 2 have made a gift this year, 1 has not yet. So hopefully they will. Again, these were donors last year since they were contacted as part of the discovery work. So hopefully they will have 100% giving rate from those 3. So 13% conversion rate. Then in addition, let's see. I'm sorry, a couple things I want to say also about this. So one of the things that we reflected earlier in the deck about was the difference in how we do business. So, it's not just us that are affected by all the things going on around us. This is true of our donors as well. We are guilty of making email the main way in which we reach out to our donors. And I don't know what you're doing in your shops. For us to do a qualification work, which we'll talk about on the next screen, our gift officers have to reach out 3 times using 3 different platforms. So preferably email, phone call, and mail. I know many shops do many more than that. I would love us to get to the point of doing many more than that, particularly since I feel like we're giving them better prospects, that instead of, just emails, that they're doing much more. We know that the average person receives 120 emails per day. So your email is getting, further and further and further and further down the list. If it's not something that they need to act on, what's the chance of them just going delete? So, we have that we have to fight against. Unfortunately, we know that, again, people are distracted by everything around them. I'm sure you all have heard the statistic that the average attention span of a human is now only 8 seconds, and that the average attention span of a goldfish is 9 seconds. So we're 1 second less than a goldfish. So, there's a lot competing for our attention. And so how do we get ourselves to be of importance to them, and something that they will actually respond to? Because, we can ring the doorbell and we can knock on their door, but they have to answer, and same with the phone and same with text. So it's a conundrum. And since the gift officers don't report to me, it's not something that I, unfortunately, can really affect. So in addition to the discovery work, our gift officers also do qualification work. And again, this deck or this slide represents just the qualification work of those 4 gift officers that were also doing the discovery work. They are all fairly new gift officers, so we're still in the process of building their portfolios. They're supposed to have a portfolio of 125. Each of them right now are probably at about 60% complete. So again, a lot of work, there's still a lot of space to put good prospects in to get them closer to that goal of 125. So our goal is, their metric is that they are to qualify 70 prospects a year. And for us, for for them, what counts as a complete to get them that metric check mark is that they reach out the 3 times, and even if the person doesn't respond, they get the complete, and the person gets removed from their qualification portfolio, and then they move on to the next person. I know some shops prefer, will use that they actually have to connect with the prospect and get either a yay or a nay before they can release them. I'd be interested if others would be willing to share what their shops are doing as far as what counts as a qualification to remove somebody, or even love even more, how many qualifications are you all requiring before somebody can be removed? You can put that in the chat, and Frank.
Yep, still monitoring. I think haven't heard anything yet.
Hi, CJ. It's Jessica Badakian from CHOP. I started.
Oh, you're one of the ones, yeah. You all require them to talk to them.
Yeah, I started to type in the chat, and then I just figured I was writing and writing and
Great.
writing, and I figured
Thank
I'd
you
just
for
come off
speaking
mute.
up.
So at Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, we do require them to receive some kind of response before we can mark them as qualified or disqualified. However, we do have a way to remove them from lists, and we call that our unresponsive. And that does require 6 touch points over different channels over the course of 6 months in order to mark them as unresponsive. We have other ways for them to remove people from their portfolio if it comes to that. I mean, we don't want to bog them down with prospects that they can't reach out to. But yeah, that's what's in our policy.
Yeah, I love it. I wish we could do more than 3. I again love to hear what their requirements are. We're on the low end.
There's so in the chat, Wheel Cornell does not have a requirement, an amount, but I said we have to see the noted outreaches in the CRM before prospects are released. We have another person who says 6 tries, email and phone over 6 months before they can give up. And Tracy has said that if 7 touches through 3 different ways. I know in my previous nonprofit experience, we also did like 6 touches, or at least 6 tries in a quarter.
Yeah. Yeah, and ours is over 6 months, basically, as well, is our period of time that our gift officers are supposed to do their qualification work. It was interesting at the Apra conference I went to that, was this year in Seattle. I went to a session, and I cannot remember. It was from University of Central Florida. They actually contracted with a vendor who's helping them with their qualification work. And their touches, I believe, were that they were to do like 3 or 5 within 2 weeks. And I actually have my annual giving team who are willing to kind of pilot that. And I asked the question, I was like, don't your people feel like they're being stalked? I mean, that's a lot of touches in a very small period of time, or narrow window. And they're like, no, we're hearing instead people say, oh, thanks for staying on touch, staying on top of it and reaching back out. I just was too busy. And again, that kind of goes back to that statistic where, we receive approximately 120 emails a day. And so your email just continues to move down. And so for you to be able to then to shoot another one, it kind of moves it back to the top. And I think that's what they're constantly doing, is trying to do that. So they actually had great success in this process, or this new pilot program that they were trying out. So I just, again, love learning from each other and what others are doing. So, and hearing success stories.
Oh, and Sarah said that they at George Washington they encourage 6 attempts using at least 2 channels over 1 quarter
Okay.
to remove someone.
Okay. Curious, the 2 channels for the most part being, I'm assuming, email and phone, or
Anecdotally, that's what I would see, CJ. But some gift officers make more use of mail.
right, right. Yeah. And some are using like LinkedIn, I know, as one of their platforms as well. So, okay. Well, so just going into this slide right here. So, as I mentioned, our gift officers are also responsible for doing some qualification assignment work. Sorry, fighting a cold. So 265. So again, they have a goal of 70 that they have to do per year on their metrics. Our goal is to assign them 100 each per year. So, so far, as of this deck was pulled on September 30th of this year. So, well, this was for the whole year last year. So 289 total calls assigned. We had some people who were out on maternity leave. So that's why it doesn't equal up to 400. But 265, 289 total assigned. We've already talked about the 24 that came through the discovery work. The remaining came through the work that my team have done in identifying prospects for their qualification portfolios. They did 81% of those, so they closed 214. And we had a conversion rate of 16%. So 35 made it into their portfolios. 16% conversion rate, again, higher than what the conversion rate was for the discovery work that was done. Question?
No, sorry.
Oh, okay. Okay. So now we're into 2024. So this is all pulled as of September 30th of 2024. We've assigned 226 prospects to their qualification portfolios as of that date. Again, we've had people out on maternity leave and medical leave, so we're not as high as we typically would be in a normal year to get them to the 100 per person. Out of the 226, 133 qualifications have been completed so far. We still have some people that are languishing still in their qualification portfolios that need to be completed. And so far they've promoted 27. And so our conversion rate is 20%, higher than the 16% and higher than the 13%. And again, we still have 93 sitting in quals, which we stay on top of with them. We meet with our gift officers monthly and review the people that are in their qualification portfolios. We actually created a stage aging and contact aging report. And so, and then on a quarterly basis, we also run a qualification analysis just to see how kind of the aging of people by gift officer have been sitting in their portfolio, and really addressing those that are languishing to get them either reassigned to another gift officer for qualification or released. So this is the one that makes the biggest impact. This shows the busy work that was done with the discovery work. And again, removing all of that work. So that's the green bar, shows us all of the discovery. So we had 897. So of the 1,087 discovery contacts, 897 of them were email, 143 were phone calls, 127 were mailings, 15 were meetings, but those meetings took place after those discovery people got moved into their qualification portfolios. None of that was done pre-qualification. And then you can see what happened in 2023, and you can see where we are currently with 2024. And so what this has done, and no surprise to the gift officers, we have reduced the amount of their work by 71% year to date. So now giving them, and that's why this whole deck came to be, was because they were like, Well, first of all, they thought that they were moving more people from Discovery into their portfolios. Obviously not true. They also, I think, felt like they weren't as busy. Quite obviously, they weren't or aren't, because they don't have all those emails that they're having to send, or phone calls, or mailings. And so they were like, what am I supposed to do with all this extra time? And my response to them is, use it on qualifying the prospects that we're giving you to your portfolio, to your qualification portfolio. And hopefully, and again, this is where we're really trying to move the mark, is to increase us from 3 to 6, like many of you all have already shared. And, you know, if we had more touches, the chances of the connection actually happening, I'm hoping, would be higher. And therefore, if we can connect with them, we know that we're going to have a much higher conversion rate from qualification to their primary portfolios. And we know if we can get them into their primary portfolios and work on those relationships and building, then the money will follow. So this is where we are really trying to make the point to them that, you know, all of that busy work was fine, but now we're giving you more time to do better work. So, you know, as the adage goes, work smarter, not harder. So then this is really, again, kind of speaks volumes. So the 2023 discovery work that was done, you know, 187, we looked at how many gave after they had their discovery contact. So 416 have made a gift again, which is great, 38%. Average gifts per prospect, 1.6, gift size, $1,331 per donor, 2,064. If we look at our qualification assignments, again, look at, you know, the average number of gifts per prospect, 1.7 versus what the discovery. Our average gift size, much higher, and the dollar per donor, obviously even more significantly higher than the people that were in the discovery pool. So again, the work that we were doing last year in assigning our qualifications, better prospects, you know, give higher amounts, give more. And again, if we can continue to build those relationships over time with them, then, and again, this is looking at those that were completed, then it's going to be a long-term gain for the gift officer. To date, again, this is through September 30th. They've completed 133 qualifications, of which, let me do this, 29, so 22% made a second gift or have made a gift this year. We have a higher number of gifts per prospect. Our average gift lower, dollar per donor lower, but we will be rerunning this at the end of the year. And I expect that dollar per donor and average gift size to go way up, to be comparable, if not surpass the 2023. And the reason for that is because 60% of our donors, so 60%, do not make their gift until quarter four for us. We run on a calendar year basis. Obviously, with the completion of the capital campaign, December 31st, there's a lot of emphasis. We're getting a lot of press because of the opening of the new hospital. A lot of our annual donors get asked at the end of the year. So I expect that both of those numbers to equal, if not, and I'm hoping surpass, since again, most of these qualifications have been identified through our DonorSearch AI and have higher capacity than I feel we've done in the past with, you know, even just looking at last year's qualification assignment prospects.
Jessica actually has a few questions.
Mhm.
So her first question is, what's the threshold for the DSAI scoring that you're using? She said that they recently started using DSAI and use a minimum of 70 for their score.
We're doing 80 to 100. 100 is the max. And so we just have so many prospects right now. We've done it based at the 80 to 100. There might be some segments, so we have multiple segments that we are looking at for identifying prospects. With our patient families, we might lower that. And I'm just trying to think, there's a group we're looking at right now that actually we're not even looking at the DSAI score. We're just looking at, oh, I know what it was. Yeah. So we're looking for prospects for our behavioral and mental health. We have a new gift officer dedicated to behavioral and mental health, which is a new area for children's. So we're looking at past patients who were patients from 2020 through 2022. And we're not, again, they've not been engaged with us for the most part, but they have had some kind of a contact with our clinicians through our psychology or psychiatry departments. And so again, we're looking at it that way and not considering the DSAI score. So we look at it in lots of different ways, but for donors, for like our typical gift officers, 80 to 100. We also take into account the major giving capacity screening value that comes back. Again, we have different levels of gift officers. So depending upon their level, their threshold will go higher. One of the things I love the most about the DSAI product is that it will tell us what their giving is to other organizations. And it actually creates, there's a column that will tell you what the highest low amount is. So I can look, for example, and see that somebody maybe gave to Emory University from $10,000 on up. And that's what I'm looking at. So since our gift officers are basically our major gift is considered for the lower level $10,000 threshold. I will look for people who maybe have given 10,000 to another nonprofit organization. Or I'll look at people who are also maybe charitably inclined towards children's nonprofits.
Okay.
So lots of different things we take into account.
Her second question is, how are you tracking all of these new prospects found with DSAI? Do you have them in separate lists?
No. So as we go, well, it's in a spreadsheet, but we capture all the information in Razor's Edge. And as we assign them to a gift officer's qualification portfolio, we actually have created an action. We call it pipeline status. And then we give it, that's the action type, and then the action status will say qualification. And on the action attribute tab, we capture the fact that it came through DonorSearch AI. And we do that for every person that we assign to a qualification portfolio, is to track basically the source and the source name. So was it a referral? If a referral, who referred it? Was it a major gift officer request? Which gift officer requested it? Did it come through our analytics? And if so, DonorSearch AI. Was it an event? So we track all of that because we want to see, who has the greatest, where's the greatest, again, yield. For us right now, even though the DonorSearch AI work is phenomenal and is doing a lot of, is really helping us and is very beneficial to our work, referrals tend to be the number one source for us.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
So obviously our gift officers are motivated by their metrics. I'm sure that's the case for many of you all as well. And I hate to say that revenue always trumps everything else, because that's, I think, how they're measured. But obviously the work that they do is also equally as important. All that discovery work that they did, as I mentioned earlier, did not count towards their metrics at all. So why would they not be more inclined towards spending their energies and times on working their qualification work? So again, you can just kind of see here, you know, how the qualification worked last year and this year. This is not just the 4, these are all of our gift officers, the individual gift officers that I mentioned. And this just looks at all of their work. So the sad part is if we look at 2024, even 2023, I hate that 75%, 3 out of 4 of our people are not responding. And again, that's out of 3 attempts. So if we were to, again, use that 71% of less work and have them do more outreaches, can we lower that 75%, and have more people hopefully move into their portfolios? The other benefit of the DonorSearch AI work that we are seeing is the fact that, again, we're looking at their ratings. We are doing a better job of filling people or assigning people to their qualification portfolios at a much higher level than, and again, this is kind of the breakdown if we look at their discovery work that they were doing. A lot of people down here who were either unrated or were very low. We have shifted that pyramid of people in their qualification prospect portfolio to a much higher level, hoping that incentivizes them to want to work these people even more, because obviously, quite obviously, if they get them, we know that they have the capacity. And again, if it's all based on relationship building, then hopefully they will, again, if you build it, they will come. We will reap the financial benefit down the road. Once again, we get them engaged and can do that work with them. Our annual giving, we have 2 leadership annual giving officers. There are true success stories. They are the ones who actually have been working the qualifications more than anybody else. And they have, both of them, we've given them people that, again, highly rated, appropriately for their level. And in both cases, they have this year closed a $50,000 gift from prospects assigned to their qualifications through our DonorSearch AI work. And these are people who, again, were really just annual donors, but we also knew that they had capacity. We knew that they were engaged with us because they've been giving for multiple years. We'd seen that they were giving high levels of gifts to other organizations, and they were able to connect with them, and both have converted large gifts. So there are success stories. I like to hope that our other gift officers would emulate them. So something we're working on. So basically, in summary, you've heard me say it multiple times, our qualification assignments are now requiring 71% less work over the combination of their discovery dashboard and qualification work last year. Our major gift officers are spending less time working through their qualifications than previously. 0.3% of donors on the discovery dashboard made it into a portfolio. So our qualification work in 23 conversion rate was higher than the discovery work. Our 2024 are already higher than conversion rate last year. I'm only hoping that doesn't drop as we end the year and people are dumping people out of their qualifications. Again, I'm hoping they're working them since they're good people. Again, qualification assignments have resulted in more qualification credits towards their metrics. And again, our qualification assignments this year through our DonorSearch AI work have provided higher quality prospects compared to what we did last year through Research Point and the other tools that we had, and the discovery work that they were doing. So you can see the statistics here. So bottom line, our qualification assignments, are providing a higher quality of, prospects and hopefully donors, requiring less work and helping our major gift officers reach their goals faster.
Another quick question.
Uh-huh.
So Discovery was the old system, quote unquote.
Yes, we retired that. Yes.
So qualification leveraging DSAI is the new system.
Yes. Yes. So last year it included the discovery work, and they also did qualification work that we assigned to them, similar to what we do this year, but it was all done through Research Point and target analytics modeling. So that's been replaced. We're exclusively DonorSearch AI as far as our identification of prospects for their qualification portfolios, in addition to like referrals and other things that might come in, a few odd things.
Okay, thank you.
So, but again, better prospects. Hands down, the prospects that we are assigning are just so much higher caliber than what we were doing previously through our previous tools. And the other thing, I just think our biggest challenge is getting our gift officers to continue or do more contacts to those people in hoping that they can actually connect with them. And in doing so, we know if they can connect, the chances of converting them to their primary portfolio will be high. So if you get somebody who says, and all of our gift officers have gone through Plus Delta training. So, and that too was just happened last year. So I think between the two, new tools, hopefully we can really do a better job of building their portfolios.
Okay.
Quality process.
Another question is, can you explain what AI did that made the difference? For example, was it automating the email outreach?
No, so we don't do any of that. All of that is still manual. So the DonorSearch AI tool is strictly for the prospect research team. And we're the ones who have exclusive access to it. But what it has done differently for us, and this is how the tool is really built, is to look at connectivity and engagement, and taking that from your internal database. So every 2 weeks, we upload everything from Razor's Edge. We include actions, whether or not somebody's in a portfolio, obviously where they live, whether they're married, all of their giving information, anything that we have in Razor's Edge. There's a lot of stuff we don't have that DonorSearch would love. We just don't have it. We don't have, for example, when emails are sent and whether or not the person clicked through. That is something that DonorSearch could take into account, but we don't collect that because of our antiquated system. We're hoping, with our new system, we'll be able to provide them with many more data points that are internal. We don't capture whether or not people come to events. We don't use the event module in Razor's Edge. It's all done on spreadsheets. Again, hope to change that. So obviously if somebody comes to an event, they're engaged with you. That should count as a donor point, or a data point. So, so that's the stuff that DonorSearch AI does, is it takes all of that engagement, involvement with you, weights it, and adds to it another 185 or 850, I mean, it's 850 data points outside of all that they have access to, that adds things like what other organizations you've given to, how much have you given, doing all the screening information, looking at, what all 50,000 other things they look at, to actually come up then with a scoring to each and every prospect. As well as major giving capacity value, and providing you all with a lot of other fields that are very helpful to us to look at. We didn't have any of that. Again, Research Point screening, that's all I got. Got major giving capacity value. I got, wealth ratings. With the target analytics stuff, we got some modeling information. which was okay. Affluence insights, we did not find to be helpful at all. Towards really giving us, helping us identify really good prospects. So sad to say. So that, that's how DonorSearch AI has really changed the way in which we do prospect identification and how it's really helped us.
Great, thank you.
So if I say this to you, can you tell me if I'm understanding correctly?
Okay.
Because we're getting this.
Oh, no, I didn't know you're getting this.
Yeah. Well, we have DonorSearch,
Yeah.
but we do not have our model built. So
Yep.
what I'm saying is, what you're talking about is it takes all of the data that you're screening, all of your database.
Mm-hmm.
Every
I
2
upload.
weeks. And what it's doing is it's looking at all of that information, and based on what the way I understood when they tried to explain, and that's why I'm asking you, is that it's going to look at who was a good donor for you in the past and what attributes they had. And out of these new people, here are people that we suggest you start with first because they appear to be better donors. Is that a good way to put it?
Yes, yes. And it will break
Okay.
it down. It will break it down between donors and prospects.
Mm-hmm.
And a donor is, so in our case, and this is again, another exciting thing for us, because of our antiquated system in Razor's Edge, we have never had full access to our whole patient database. Somebody built, before I even started 8 years ago, this funnel. And it says, okay, here's the full database, patient database in the last 5 years. Now we're going to take it and we're going to say, oh, do you have one of the top 25 zip codes in Atlanta? If so, we're going to capture you. Well, if you live outside of one of the top 25 wealthiest zip codes in Atlanta, we're not looking at you. Well, guess what? That's where DonorSearch has really helped us. We're able to, after much dealing with compliance and legal, we're able to upload our full patient database, again, people who've been patients for the last 5 years, to DonorSearch AI, in addition to everybody who's in Razor's Edge. And we are finding, again, they're falling in the prospects, all of these potential patient families who meet the wealth screening side of the house. And what we're finding out is they have never lived in our Razor's Edge donor base, so they've never heard from us.
That's incredible.
It's phenomenal. So every 2 weeks we upload, we're now almost at 1.56 million records. And they churn that around in 2 weeks, basically. And it's ready for us then to go prospecting. I love fishing.
Yeah.
It's a favorite part of my job.
Well, for right now, I do know that DonorSearch AI for us is going to be just the regular data, our regular database. So
Okay.
alumni, things like that. And I believe I've heard they're going to be doing a separate model for our patient database because we use Global.
Oh,
And not everybody on our team can go in and see that because of HIPAA. So my understanding is that for us, it's going to be, just the alumni and friends sort of thing, but not patients yet.
gotcha.
So I'm hopeful.
Well,
in
you
the
have a lot of
future.
alumni. You have a lot of, you still have a lot of prospects.
Yes, but I'm excited to see how you're using this because we're supposed to be able to start doing this soon.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we continue to learn. And CHOP is also a DSAI, as Jessica mentioned. And we connect with them often. We actually are creating our own little cohort of just DSAI users within the children's hospital world so that we can kind of learn from each other.
That sounds wonderful. And if we ever get to that point, I will tell our healthcare prospecting team, our patient prospecting team, to come and attend those meetings, and I know they'll be happy. So
Yeah. So this is just, you know, again, kind of just the closing. I know we're down to the end of the hour. Just again, going back to even the first thing, just how fast things have changed. So, you know, how are some ways that you are shifting to be able to address these kinds of things? Donors and prospects have a myriad of organizations, 1.7 million nonprofit organizations out there, all competing for the same dollars. I think we can all say we're all suffering from maybe some donor fatigue. Donor numbers are going down. We all continue to raise more money, but from fewer donors. Our donors are distracted and they have a shorter attention span. And here's my contact information. I hope you all will go out to LinkedIn and connect with me. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to drop me an email.
Thank you so much, CJ. I really appreciate it. This is wonderful. Looks like we don't have any questions in the chat, but we were addressing a lot of them throughout your presentation, so that was great. And if there aren't any more questions, this is a wonderful way for us to actually end the 2024 Apra Maryland Fall Conference. Thanks for doing it on a high note, CJ. Sarah, would you like to say anything?
Oh, well, we are really thankful to all of our speakers, especially those associated with our sponsors. I mean, CJ, you're speaking well about a DonorSearch product, and we've been so thankful to DonorSearch for the last 2 years of being a premier sponsor and like maintaining that financial stability for us the last couple of years. And also thanks to Kaleidoscope and Momentum. And I know that some people had been reaching out saying, oh, I wasn't able to attend day one, or conversely, they attended day one and weren't able to attend day two. So everyone who's a member will receive recordings, and then every attendee will receive either PDFs or PowerPoint presentations from all of the speakers. And we are in the early stages of setting up a webinar for November 12th. It will be with CCS Fundraising. They're going to walk through their, I think it's a higher education philanthropic report. And that will be co-hosted with Apra Metro DC. So once details become final, we'll send out a email invitation and LinkedIn marketing about that. So any last thoughts from any other Apra Maryland board members?
If anybody is interested in volunteering, this probably was reflected already in the morning update, but if anyone's interested in volunteering or maybe having a place on the board, please feel free to contact us. We're always looking for new members, and we're always excited to really have new ideas, you know, and some kind of fresh perspectives.
And speakers for next year.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, thank you so much, everyone. We were excited to bring this conference back this year, and we hope you found it to be valuable.
Yep.
Care, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you all.